Raw. So we've been sort of teasing people with some of our stories and that, and we've left out one of the best ones.
Yeah.
Preset.
Preset.
How do we fucking explain this?
This was probably the most genius out of the ideas that we had, I think.
Yeah, this is when we was millionaires before we'd even made a penny.
This was the most successful one as well.
Yeah, this one really
one that didn't even get out the gate.
I'll just start then. So, obviously, for anyone who's listened to the other podcasts, we was at Winchester City together. Obviously, we had the clubhouse. The clubhouse was a good size, to be fair, but it was so run down, wasn't it? It was like an OAP sort of fucking clubhouse, wasn't it?
Yeah, we alluded to this in the pre-season episode, didn't we? I think.
Yeah, I think we mentioned something about it. So
yeah,
it's about time we let them know how pathetic this idea was. So we've mentioned it before. Me and Raw like going out a lot, and we wanted a way of going out, but in a cheaper environment, and also a way to make us money. So we sort of come up with the idea that we're going to start a club night at the Den Plan, Winchester City Clubhouse.
It was like the pre-drinks venue, wasn't it? Before you go into Winchester and go on a night out into Winch.
Yeah, so what we did was what we tended to do was have these ideas and almost get to the point where the idea is ready to go before we've done any planning, much like this podcast.
Yeah, exactly like this podcast.
And then we went and made all these flyers, and Raw, you came up with the name, One It Preset, which we were buzzing about.
Yeah, I thought it was genius.
It's the pre-place. It's the pre-place before the drinks. It's the preset. So yeah,
the funniest thing is, we're trying to get the students to come from Winchester out of their way to the football ground to go back in the town where they would actually go out and enjoy themselves.
And that's the thing. And if you look to the clubhouse, I think they got like badge crests in there from like 1942, and it's all dusty and that. Like they had
in there.
oldest TV ever.
Proper smells.
Just a bad place. The one place you wouldn't go to for pre-drinks. But anyway, so we as we do, we got ourselves on Microsoft Word and made these proper crap flyers. We did it all in the Winch colours, red and black, and then we went to the a printing company and got all these flyers. I think we ended up getting like 500, and we was like, right, what do we do next? Let's go around to all the unis. So we had a plan to go to all the unis sort of on the south coast, so Winchester through to like Solent and that, and the idea didn't get past Winchester uni. So also, didn't we book a DJ without even speaking to him?
Yeah, Phil Horrocks. So Phil, if you ever get tarnished with, aren't you the DJ that was going to go to preset? That's our fault.
So didn't we have him on the flyer as well?
Yeah.
I swear you got that somewhere on your computer.
Yeah, I've got the old flyers on my computer still. We'll bang that up on the Instagram, just like we did with the Showdown Reserve photo, which we can't find.
Yeah. So yeah, we went around walking around these unis, saying we got this new pre-drinks night, and it's at Winchester City Football Club. It's called Preset. Like thinking we're fucking like proper club promoters and that.
We get the club minibus to come pick you up from the uni, bring you down.
The one we never had. And it come to the point. I remember when it was all sort of like spiraling out of control. We were like, I remember speaking to Dad, and it was like, well, I could probably give people lifts in my car.
Dad in that Range Rover driving about 100 miles per hour everywhere.
Didn't it go as far as one at Parfait as well? We were starting to say we could get people down the Parfait.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we'll just get you a taxi in the Parfait as well.
Funniest thing was half the people, well, everyone we spoke to was like, nah, I'm all right. I'm all right just pre-drinking at my place and then just going to Parfait. Yeah. Fair enough. Next.
Yeah, we just drink at home for for real cheap. No one's cheaper than students, so it's not like we could have added give them an ulterior motive of how to be even cheaper than they already were.
No, and we just thought this was the best. We thought this was the absolute money-making idea, and the problem is where my family owned the club, they entrusted us with all these ideas, and they're actually part of the blame that they actually thought we knew what we were doing.
They're enablers.
Yeah,
they are the eneblers.
Mum,
I think they was all laughing at us as well, to be honest.
Mum, we're going to make a pre-drinks night. Go for it. Okay, here we go. Preset.
That's the funniest bit, isn't it? Because we're handing all these flyers out, and people are just taken them out of pure just sympathy, I think. And then as we've like left one of the unis, I don't know if we were getting excited thinking it was going to work. We're like shouting out the window, preset, you want to come to preset?
The thing is, like, well, some of these places had to be attractive to go to, and I think we had Barry, the groundsman, who was like shoehorned in to be the barman, wasn't it?
Yeah, Barry the barman.
My mum.
Get the stewards in. We've got about 4 teeth between all 10 of them. Get all them lot in to be the bouncers and that. It would have been a proper shout. Do you know what? I really wish that it would have gone through for at least one night just to see what it looked like.
Yeah, it would have been class. We got to get some pictures of what that clubhouse looks like as well, just so people actually have an idea of how bad it would have looked.
What we should do is, if we ever get rich and famous from this, which definitely we won't, we should make sure that preset happens, I reckon.
At that clubhouse.
Yeah, ask Winch if they'll let us do it for the night. Yeah, we promise you, you'll get a big profit from us. That'd be decent.
All right, so we got Mark Dennis on this episode.
I think we might need to warn people about this one.
Yeah, look, we try to keep to a script and an idea of questions and that, but Deno had his own agenda on this.
That's not how Mark Dennis works.
Yeah, and he had his own agenda, and he thought, no, I'm going to speak about some of the most horrific things I can. So we've got it down to about an hour and 15 minutes. We probably cut out 2 other hours of it purely because we'll probably go to prison, to be honest with you.
The good thing is, this is either going to get the most amount of listeners because people are now going to think, oh, okay, I need to hear what he's saying here, or it's going to get the least because people are just going to be like, I can't deal with this.
Or it's getting taken down.
or it's getting taken down. The analysis will go 100% listens for the first sort of 15 minutes and then it will just disappear. But it is what it is.
We've warned you.
Out of the podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Up the Podcast. We've got an absolute stellar guest today, Mark Dennis, who played over 350 professional appearances for Birmingham, Saints, QPR and Palace, along with 9 under-21 caps for England. And Bobby Robson actually said he was the best left-back never to play for England. Deno, how are you, mate?
Very good. Lovely to be here with you both.
Good, man.
Good to have you, mate.
Cool. So what we'll get started off with, what we do with all the guests. Let's get a bit about your career. So you started off at Birmingham, so do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, I was on Chelsea's books as a youngster, and they didn't take me on. Actually. 2 of my great mates, Mickey Filler, ended up playing for QPR and Chelsea, and Gary Shivers got professional forms, and I was one thrown out. I was going to give the game up then, and my dad said to me, don't be silly, keep it going. And I played in a game down at Fulham for Tommy Trinder's testimonial game, and that really changed my life. I got man of the match there, and Birmingham and Aston Villa asked me to go down there. Well, my mum being a Peaky Blinder, she come from Small Heath, so, and her family were down there. I had no qualms, and I went down, had a trial with Birmingham City, and the next was all history really from then on. But I had some great times at Birmingham. Yeah. Grew up, signed professional films. I was playing with players like Kenny Burns, Trevor Francis. It was just unreal, absolutely unreal to be down there, and I loved every minute of it, to be fair. But it wasn't all great going. I mean, I had to work very hard to get in the first team. I got in when I was 16 and 7 months. I beat Trevor Francis by 2 months to be the youngest ever player at Birmingham to make their debut, which was nice. But we got hammered 4-2 at Norwich, and I didn't have the best of games. I had a little bit of a stinker.
What league were they in when you went to Birmingham?
We were in the first division, which is now the Premiership.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's the same. And Jim Smith was our manager, gave me the chance, but he played me next game against Manchester City. I thought I'd be dropped, and I got man of the match. Played against Mickey Shannon, which is one of my old mates now. He was on the right wing for Man City, and I got man of the match. All down to Jim. Really keeping faith in me and giving me that extra chance. And it's a bit sad now because I've recently went to his funeral. He passed away, God bless him. The only thing I didn't like about him, he was manager of Pompey.
All right, so sort of being in the youth at Birmingham, we've spoken to a few of the other guests about it. Was it tough being an apprentice? Did you get bullied at all from the first team or anything like that?
Absolutely. I done Trevor Francis cleaned his boots with Kenny Burns, and if the boots wasn't up to scratch, Burnsy would give you a Chinese burn, and we all know what a Chinese burn feels like. So his boots were always spotless. But we done not only boot cleaning, we cleaned the rooms out. It was a proper apprenticeship, not like today when the kids go in, and I think it's bad because you're brought up to respect things. Yeah. And respect your elders, respect your senior players, and that can only be good for the game.
So everyone's heard the stories about like Paul Scholes getting chucked in tumble dryer and stuff like that. Did you see anything like that happen when you was at Birmingham?
Yeah, I've seen. I got rubbed down with a stiff broom, and I'll tell you what, honestly, I got rubbed down. We all had our
just rubbed down with it, or
well. And it with it, but no, we had certain things when you've made so many appearances. If you sign professional forms, you know what I mean. They do that with cricket. They give you a cap today. If you make your England debut, you get a cap. We didn't. We used to get the broom on us or a good idea.
I think as well. I think it's like character building, isn't it, to go through those things to a degree.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the bonding between us then was unbelievable. I mean, the lads, we all went out together, we done everything together, we ate together, we almost slept together, you know what I mean? I can't go on too much about that. I've been married twice since. But no, it was great days there, and coming out, I had some great days. We got relegated once, but we come straight back up. I got 2 Player of the Years while I was there, which I'm so proud of. The Birmingham fans, to this day, like Southampton, absolutely fantastic. They were absolutely brilliant. And
what were the derbies like up there? Because who's the derby? Is it Villa?
The derby was Aston Villa. Blues versus the Villa. And the Blues fans, though, they've got a big event. We've got the same problem with Pompey, them down the road. The Blues fans were nasty. They were called the Zulu Warriors. Right. In them times, and they used to take over Villa Park when we was there. But I will have to say, compared to the Southampton, and we'll move on to that late, Southampton, Portsmouth, Pompey derbies. They're the worst I've ever had, Southampton.
I'm sure it was a lot more violent back then as well. I don't know if you see Grealish getting punched by that fan a few years ago.
Absolutely.
It was like getting punched by a feather duster, wasn't it? That was pathetic.
Yeah, it was. But
he went down and went, "What was that?"
That's it.
Someone spit at me or something.
He just sort of sat down like, "God's sake,
what was that?"
What's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot, but today the rivalries are massive. I don't think it is in London because you've got too many times. But Pompey Saints for me is the biggest derby I've ever played in, and Villa Blues was big, but Pompey Saints the most hostile derby ever.
Yeah, I think everyone sort of sees it as that as well. What's closer? Maybe Rangers, Celtic.
Rangers, Celtic. I agree with you entirely, but you've got to look at that really when there's obviously Catholics and Protestants involved in it.
Yeah. There's religion in it.
Religion. There's no religion with Pompey and Saints. I found out, obviously, signing from Birmingham to Saints. I found out it was all down to. They call us scummers because we broke the picket lines, but I'm not so sure if that's true. No. And we call them the skates because obviously the Royal Navy, the skates on top of the water, head through the porthole, golden rivet, riding the waves. So that's.
Oh, I've no idea what you're talking about. That sounds good.
Well, we all know what the Navy are up to, don't they? How do you separate the men from the boys in the Navy?
Oh yeah, the old
with a crowbar. But no,
you've got an idea about how this one's going to go for sure.
Yeah, but when I signed,
that's all the Pompey fans gone. There's no more Pompey listeners, is there? Oh, it's not the biggest loss, is it? Anyway?
No, who cares about them? All right, so how many years did you spend at Birmingham?
I was at Birmingham nearly 7 years. Because I was there when I was very young as an apprenticeship. Done my apprenticeship, but it's a shame how it all fell out because Jim Smith was sacked and we was about 9th in the league. I don't know what, and they reinstated a fella by the name of Ron Saunders, a complete and utter nutter.
Really?
Absolutely. Had done special things for Villa, but I think what made him worse was when they won the European Cup in '82, and I was at Birmingham. They won the European Cup in the days of Peter Whiff and Gary Shaw, and he had left, and Tony Barton took over. Tony Barton was with us at Southampton as well as coach to Chris Nicholl, and he couldn't get over the fact that Tony Barton, and he still said, took all his credit really. Anyway, he signed for Birmingham as manager, and I never got on with him. The first thing he come to me and David Lang and the fullbacks, he said, as a fullback, I want that ball up the line with a bit of snow on. I said, boss, I can't play like that. I like to play it in the feet or drill it into thing. And he went, well, you're out the side. I was in the reserves next week.
I think from the videos I've seen as well, you was like a baller, weren't you? Like one of the new age sort of players as well. Like you went up for the sort of long ball shelling. What's
you have no power in your legs to be able to kick all the way out of the pitch, no?
Well, that could have been a factor. Actually, I had lovely legs. I had big thighs, look like they are now. Coming up 60, they're like pipe cleaners.
All right, and so you went from Birmingham to Saints, and I think you're locally known as a bit of a cult hero for Saints. So how did that move come about?
Well, the move came about. I turned down QPR, Terry Venables. The money wasn't right for me there. Not as though I'd going for money, but I was going down below what I was earning at Birmingham. Terry Venables, he had a waistcoat. Loved Terry Venables, fantastic. But then, obviously, I waited in the reserves. I was in the reserve 4 or 5 months. And Frank Worthington has just passed away. I'm gutted now talking about it now. Feeling like I'm in bits. He really organised the move with Rory McManamy. He said, Gaffer, I've played with him because they're always worried about my personality and the antics I got up to on and off the pitch. And Frank said, Gaffer, no, he can play. He said, you get him your discipline, which Rory McManamy was. And I come down to Southampton, he came in, I spoke to him. I literally spoke to him for half hour and I signed. That's how good. I walked in the dressing rooms and Keegan was just got off to Newcastle. Bawley had only just gone, and we had Peter Shilton, Mark Wright, Nick Holmes, Steve Williams, Mickey Mills, all these fantastic England internationals. And I thought I'd arrived at the game at Birmingham, being played, but I walked into this dressing room and it was a new culture for me to see these boys. And it was just a magnificent feeling for signing for a club with all these great players.
Yeah, I bet.
And I've never ever looked back since.
Do you remember your transfer fee?
My transfer fee was, funny enough, they come in 250,000 from, they wanted when I went to QPR, and it went, because I stayed for a few months, I didn't sign for QPR, obviously Ron Saunders got a little bit the ump, and when I come to sign, Laurie got me for £25,000 from Birmingham City, which he always said that was his best signing with Jimmy Case, which he got from Brighton for 25,000.
So what do you reckon that is now, Raw? How much is that worth now?
What's that,
Well,
25,000?
25, what's that equivalent maybe? Like
No,
25 mil probably now.
No, but it wouldn't be. I mean, it's gone Garrity now, hasn't it? It's gone absolutely Gary with prices. No one's worth 20 million in my eye. But you've got to go. You go with the stuff. What they've got to do, in my view, is put a cap on wages. If not, the game, we can see it starting to go. Yeah, it's not as good as what it was.
No.
But
the passion's gone, isn't it? That's what we were speaking this with.
What was the record fee now? Like 200 mil, isn't it? For Neymar or Mbappe, one of them.
I think it was Neymar, wasn't it?
Well, we'll
get it wrong anyway. We always fucking do, but I'm pretty sure it was Neymar.
The problem is as well is that the players like Ronaldo and Messi are actually on 750 grand a week, but they, from their other endowments, sponsorship and boots, they actually earn more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I don't blame people. I would never go for anything, because if I was in their position now, I wouldn't turn that money down. I don't think many people would. But at the same time, you've got to think about the game and will it blow up? How long can we last paying these kind of fees?
I think it's a matter of time for there's £1 million a week player in there. There's going to be £1 million a week.
Absolutely.
What was it? Toe was making wasn't it like £3 a second or something like that when he went out to
But the problem is, it'd be like I think the richer are getting richer and the poorer are getting poorer, and this will happen to football. What will happen? You'll have a big league of clubs, and all the i.e. conference, second division, first division, will go out of business. I can see it happening now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not in a good time. We'll move on to it with this shambles of COVID and everything else. It's not good.
No, I bet.
And they talk about the Super League as well, aren't they? Just taking the best teams from each league and just going and making their own Super League.
Yeah, but that's
Sounds
no
like
good
another
for the
money
majority of the people on this planet, because a lot of people want to get down and see non-league football. They actually prefer non-league football to professional football, and that shouldn't be taken away from them, Rory. You know.
No, exactly. We've had that problem this year at Handball, where at most we probably had, I don't know, maybe 50 people watch a game. And then it's on off about, can we watch games? Can we not watch games? Are you playing this week? Are you playing?
And we need to think more about this, especially in the COVID situation, Dave, with mental health, because mental health is bigger than anything, bigger than COVID, bigger than anything today.
Yeah,
and we're not looking at that. The government's not looking at it.
No, it's all about whatever. For whatever reason, they've just stopped it all, and now what do we have? It's almost like all the fun's been taken away from us, isn't it? So
it is. Hopefully it comes back. I'm not positive about it, but hopefully it comes back.
Yeah, I mean, the Euros is looking like it could be the first sort of thing where we actually have some fans again and we actually have some excitement in the ground instead of it just being pin dropping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. All the games this year have just been boring to watch, haven't they? There's been a lot of like 0-0 draws and stuff like that, and you just think, I can't watch this. There's no excitement. You can see the player. I don't think the players can get up for games anymore. Because
absolutely. I mean, the great example would be England the other night playing San Marino, which are bakers, candlestick makers, and everything else.
I think Conor could get in their team.
Unbelievable.
Just about.
You got any San Marino in your blood? Go and have a look.
I've revamped my career doing that. Just go around and start telling people I had an international cap.
For Dan Marino.
Right, so talk to us a bit more about Saints. Like you say, that was like a glory era for Saints, wasn't it?
It was fantastic. It was just when I arrived, we finished second to Liverpool in the league, our highest position ever, and I think we've done the double over them that year. We beat them 2-0 down at the old. It was electrifying. The atmosphere was unbelievable. Danny Wallace got a overhead kick goal of the season, which I was very proud to be involved in. Frank Worthington, God bless him, sent me down the left over the fullback's head. Down the left, I whipped in across. Mark Wright at the back post. What was Wrighty doing at the back post? I don't know. He was sent up, fantastic header back, and Danny Wallace with a unbelievable overhead kick past Bruce Grobbler with loads of air. I can remember.
It's alternative world, this.
We beat them 2-0, went top of the league, and we was pipped. I think we lost to Nottingham. We was pipped by him in the end by Liverpool for the championship, which was heartbreaking. But what a great season! Got us into Europe, played into Europe. They were just fantastic times. We used to go to Marbella. Twice, Laurie used to take us to Marbella twice a year just for a break, and every time we come back from that break, we always seemed to win it. It was a fortress at home, and me room.
Believe that in there. That's fine.
And me room partner, Frank Worthington, which he was at Birmingham as well. He was great, and he used to say we used to room together, and we had some unbelievable times. He used to call me the best wingman he ever had.
What was that?
In there, well, when we used to pull a bird, and he always kept me engrossed.
So you mentioned the like going away to Marbella. What was the social culture like there? Was there actually a real team spirit amongst you?
Unbelievable team spirit. I mean, we used to go to the Concord every Wednesday, the Concord Club. All the lads.
Is that the one in East Southampton?
Absolutely. But apart from Peter Shilton, he was a bit of a loner. I didn't get on with Peter. Peter would send a glass eye to sleep. He was bordering on being a Chris Nichol.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely murderous.
Not a fan of Chris Nichol either.
But as a keeper, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
As a keeper, brilliant. But you do everyone. If we were all the same, the world wouldn't go round, would it?
No,
Simple as that, really. But no, the culture, the bond was fantastic. Mickey Mills, club captain. I learned a lot from Millsy. I miss him, even though he's still with us. I speak to him occasionally. I remember we played Wolves in a cup game, and I'd done a bit of a bad tackle, and I got booked for it, and we were 2-1 up at the time, and I come in at half time, and Millsy walked up to me, got me by my shirt, dragged me up against the wall. He went, "You fucker." He said, "I don't care what you do at this game." He said, "You get another booking and you cost me money, that's it." That was the kind of man he was.
Can't do that now.
Oh,
yeah, it'd be all
absolutely.
over social media, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He was really mean to me in the changing room.
Yes, he was mean to me. He got me by the throat and pinched me.
Because it's different now, isn't it? Like, I mean, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it don't seem like there's a lot of like team nights out with like. When's the last time you've seen all of Southampton out on a night out or something like that?
It's 2s and 3s,
Yeah.
Connor. It's 2s and 3s, and what they do, majority of the foreigners now, it's no good for the country. They earn their wages and send them back home.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's just if you get me on that, I just go mad, and they wonder why we're struggling at international level.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think so we want to sort of talk about Saints. Well, how long were you at Saints for?
I was at Saints, I think 6.5 years.
That's where you sort of, well, that's obviously, we're in Southampton, we're based in Southampton, so that's where we sort of know you from, but that's where I feel like you earned your name as a left back. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I think it was when, and they named me, which I never liked, they named me Psycho.
Where did that come from?
I don't know, really, the fans named it, and they still, Stuart Pearce said to me, "So you're the original Psycho." So I said, "Thanks." I said, "But you was a psycho as well."
I think they missed the K. I think they really mean sicko. Don't
Yeah. Oh, you're not far wrong there.
So you've mentioned as well, like the antics and stuff like that. Like, where did that come from? Was you always out on the piss, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in them days, it was a big drinking culture.
Yeah.
We had some drink. Even when Casey came, we had Frank, myself, Millsy was a big drinker. Schultz was a massive drinker. If you have him, right, everyone went in there, and the only non-drinker was Nick Holmes. But when we went to Porto Banús in Marbella, he had to, by Mildy's orders, he had to do a gin and tonic, only one. And seeing him drink that gin and tonic in his face was just absolutely brilliant. Where he's in there, but Nick, not the only drink, but what a professional! One of the greatest professionals I've ever played with, and a lovely, lovely man, like they all were.
Yeah.
As I said, the only one I never got on with was Schultz, but a great keeper. But
Just a boring man.
everyone can't get on together. You know, as I say, sometimes it just doesn't work. But when we were on that pitch, I'll tell you what, we were tight.
Yeah.
We were together, and we'd die for each other. It was just when we got off the pitch, we disliked each other.
Yeah.
And then if we really went mad, Millsy used to have a go at me because I used to always say, "Come on, lads." I used to like to take them down St Mary's to the Shebeens. Do you know the Shebeens, which is a whorehouse basically, down in thing. And you go and used to get a warm can of harp with them and that, and there was some Bayesian girls in there, but I was terrible for that. I don't do it now, and I wouldn't do it. But in the day, there'd be a lot of people. It was fantastic. The Shebeens down St Mary's.
The Shebeens. Sounds great.
You'd have a big black West Indian come up to you. "How are you, mate?" A big bottle of alcohol. You pay your money and you'll be in there.
Oh,
it was fantastic. I'd come out knee trembling.
So you said about the drinking culture. I mean, it's what era is this? Like, late 80s?
No, this was early 80s.
Early 80s.
Late 70s, early 80s.
How often was you on it then? Was the whole team on it?
Well, I'll tell you when we went on it. I never drunk after Thursday nights. That was it, and we were good like that. So we never went after. Wednesday was our big night. George Allsfield would have us in, would do the lines, sweat it all out, and then Friday would just go in, do a few set pieces, and then Saturday game would come. Well, in them years, we hardly lost at home, so we were winning all the time. And our bar, we had a lovely players' bar. Would go up there and get absolutely lashed.
Well, after the match?
After the
Or
game.
before the match?
No,
During
after the game. After the game. Mickey would be up there. The racing would be on when Mickey was there, Mickey Shannon. He'd come out just before, run out behind everybody else because he'd want to see the 3 o'clock. And but no, they were, as I say, they were absolutely great days, and the drink that used to flow. What we were saying, Mills used to say to me, win or lose, we're having a booze. And do you know what I mean? And it was great.
I think it adds, done it to like the team culture. Obviously, now they would never let you do it, but having a drink as a team once a week, I think that does add to the team spirit. Because I don't know if it was a previous guest or we was talking about it, Raw, but everything sort of comes out when you're drunk. If you've got a problem with someone, it does. And all that sort of forgotten after the drink.
The truth is told.
Yeah.
When you're pickled.
Yeah, exactly.
And we certainly, after a game, especially if we won, we were pickled.
Was there any tear-ups at all?
In the truth,
Yes, there was a few tear-ups in the thing, but I'll tell you what, it was all next day. Apart from the Chris Nichols saga, which I'll get on to later, it was all between the players. Whatever happened, it was all shaking hands and forgot about the next day, because it's all about passion, and they only do that. You only fight between themselves because you want to achieve something. You want to achieve results, and you want to be the best. So I think that's quite good.
Yeah, you ain't going to fight about something you don't care about, are you? So it makes sense.
That's what I think. That's what we lack in the game now. That, well, again, we don't know what goes on behind the
passion.
Scenes. There doesn't seem like there's a lot of passion anymore.
I mean, if you have a look at, you see today, there's very few broken legs in the game today, because defenders can't defend, and players can't tackle. They can strike balls, technically very, very good. But I look today, and they play on bowling greens today. I never had the pleasure of playing on pitches like they play, unless we got to Wembley or something. And I see when a fullback knocks the ball and it goes out of play, I'm in disbelief. We used to play on quad mass. I mean, the mud was up to your things, and we still played balls into feet, got it back, and smash it into Frank's chest here, get it whipped round, put the other full back in. It was just a joy to watch. And I think if you asked the fans loved the football we played in the 80s. It was pure magic for them. I know that for a fact. And I'll tell you what, we were winning 3-2s, 4-3s, 5-4s. It was just
like Leeds then, Leeds United.
Absolutely. They're a joy to watch at the moment. I love their manager.
They've got so much balls coming into that league and acting the way they are and playing the way they are. I think Raw was saying for sure that teams these days are scared to lose. They'd rather not lose than actually try and go for the win.
Yeah, and I agree with you entirely. And I can just say, what does that do for the fans, though? It paid hard-earned money to go and see their beloved sides play football, and they're playing in that way, in that manner. They want entertainment. That's what football's about, entertaining. Yeah. Where have the entertainers gone? The Stan Bowles, the Frank Worthington, the Rodney Marshes.
Yeah.
Where have all these gone? The Tony Currys, all the flair players.
Do you reckon like Mavericks are going out of the game?
Absolutely. George Best probably the greatest player to ever live. Forget about Maradona and Lionel Messi. George Best played when he was Ron Harris, and boys on pitches cracking you, tackling you round your legs and thighs and that. And Best, he still stayed up and beat them. I mean, they wouldn't last 2 minutes.
I mean, that's quite a good point, actually. They are protected a lot more now.
The only player I really think of now who's kind of like that is Grealish. Yeah. And that's why I love him so much, because he's the only one who tries to play in that sort of like just floats past people, gets smashed all the time.
I think he's a great talent, even though he's a Villa player. Great talent. He moves well, and I tell you what he does. He doesn't make a meal. If he does get done, he don't make a meal of it.
No,
he gets up and wants to play on.
He gets fouled all the time, doesn't he? He's the most fouled player in the Premier League.
By a lot. I think it's by 30 fouls or something.
Yeah, I know these tackles ain't up round his hip and that, but they're like, there's enough of them because he's such a good player and he's so skillful.
But I think that also shines on. You have a look at Aston Villa's form without Grealish. Yeah, they're not the same side. They're very, very below average without him. Yeah. With him, they're a decent side, and that's all credit to him. I don't like being an ex-Birmingham. I don't like praising him, but when you see someone as good as that today, you've got to give him a bit of praise.
Yeah, and for me, he's got to be the first name on the sheet at the Euros.
I agree.
They won't, will they?
Him and Foden, first names on the sheet, and then go from there.
Southgate won't.
Them two are just gonna.
Well, it's Gareth. I played with Gareth at Crystal Palace. He was a young lad, lovely fella.
Looking model.
Possibly too nice model. Yeah, he's.
Model.
Cool. You wouldn't share your cocaine with him, would you? With that nose. Jesus.
Hoover it all up.
Where's it gone?
Where's me devil's dandruff? No, but Gareth was always nice. And sometimes two nice people...
They don't get far.
No.
Well, he's done well, to be fair.
Oh, he's done well as manager, but then again, Gareth, love him to bits. But then again, the FA can control him.
Yeah.
The FA, they love someone like that. They love a Steve McCallan, a Wally with a brolly,
Yes,
a Graham Turnip Taylor. They love that. But when you get class in like Terry Venables and Brian Clough, which should have been England manager for many years, they don't want that. They don't want that. They want full control. They're a bit like the country now with COVID.
Yeah.
COVID, all about control.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, so you've done 6 years at Saints. I mean, obviously there's a video online of the derby against Pompey, which everyone knows. I think worldwide, it's probably one of the biggest derbies in the world.
Yes.
What was it like playing in them?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I tell you what, electric, scary, and I say that's scary. It was scary.
Fans are right next to the pitch back then, weren't they?
It was scary, and we had the far end, not the Fratton end in there, and it wasn't small then. It went right up, and I think there was about 38,000 in that day, and it was just unbelievable. We nicked it right at the end because I got a coin, and it was funny because bananas came on for Danny Wallace in them day, but good old Danny, unlike today, picked the banana up, rolled it down and ate it, and they all clapped him. What a bloke that is! What a bloke that's how to deal with these people.
Yeah.
Shove it
It's
straight
like
up
the knee. Bring the knee then to that. I think we've had enough. Les Ferdinand's exactly right about the knee. We've had enough. We've said that. We've made our points, and that's it. And I always said I wouldn't kneel for no one. The only person I'd kneel for is me mum and the Queen.
Yeah, and Zaha stepped away from that.
And Bob Higgins.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more. Did you ever come across Bob Higgins? Was he gentle?
I did come across him. It was fortunately I was signed for Birmingham City. Now I want the youngsters, but the young Wallaces were there. Obviously Shearer, Neil Maddison. There was loads of them. And what he's done was absolutely disgusting.
Fantastic.
And that's and that 25 years he's got is very deserving. As is Barry Bennell, another sick man. Dario Gradi will get caught very, very soon. We all know about him.
Breaking news.
He was at Crewe, everyone knows about him, was at Chelsea with Eddie Heath. And these people now have got to be targeted. We've got to target them and get them off the streets.
Yeah, get them out.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
The game after the after it was brilliant after winning that local derby against Portsmouth. It was brilliant coming off that pitch. But I always remember Laurie McMenemy, our gaffer, coming off, and he had this beautiful suit on. Savile Row it was in them days, the old Adam Cutman. And he came off and he come into the dressing room after we got in, and it was covered in phlegm. I know this isn't nice. It just showed where it walked off and all the Pompey fans were split.
Gobbing at him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he done like that, and we got in the dressing room, we would jump because it was magnificent feeling in there. Mark Wright jumped on me back. It was absolutely hilarious. It was fantastic. And then before we went out, the gaffer went to us, you can't go out. There was massive fights outside. The trains had been all smashed. Some of our coaches were smashed. And it was absolutely mayhem, carnage and bedlam. With that, anyway, I said to Millsy, I said, come on, we're going out. Let's sneak out the room. As we sneaked out, Fred Dinage was walking down the gallery. I said, all right, Fred. He went, fuck off. This was Fred, and we all know him on the television and all that. I just laughed and went up, but I did see him down at the college a few months later. He was working down at the college, and he did apologise to me. He said it was just passion. He was just so deflated with the result, but we certainly weren't deflated. We were buzzing.
What was the? Did you go out afterwards? Then I'm assuming
we went back to Southampton to Simon's Wine Bar.
Simon's Wine
Bar.
Now,
yes, yeah, in Bedford Place. Simon's Wine Bar, and then
Oxford Street.
Then went over. I think then it was not Peggy Sue's. It was Burbanks. We used to call it Spurbanks. It was a nightclub, and we all went in there afterwards. And what a night! And the bouncers, because a lot of the bouncers there were Saints supporters. We had great times with them as well.
It was all the fans that let you get away with whatever you wanted.
Oh, absolutely. It was just the fans were with us, which they can't do that today. We went in there, we drank with them, we spoke to them, and that's what it was. That's what it was about. It was fantastic. And if you come over and you'd had a bad game, they'd tell you and you'd accept it.
Yeah.
But when you done well, they were absolutely fantastic. Simon's Wine Bar, you couldn't buy a drink.
Really?
It was just unbelievable.
I thought there was as much sort of stardom to it. Like people get like starstruck with players nowadays, don't they? They see them and sign.
And the women were the best. The women coming afterwards, honest, because there was a lot of women in them day. Like the football, the girls used to come in, and by the end of the night, if you was free and single, you'd definitely mingle. and I always remember I pulled one many years ago and couldn't go back because I was with someone, but there was a disabled toilet just down the road from Simon's Wine Bar, and I took her to the disabled toilet because the disabled toilet was big in there, and I showed her what for in there.
Did you need a big toilet to get her in, did you?
Oh, yeah. It was always great in there because she could hold on to the bars, you know. But no, as I say, that was just unbelievable day. That will stay in my life forever. That was just a great day, and even after the weekend, it went through to the next week. I mean, usually it was forgotten on the Monday. This game wasn't forgotten, and it must have been hell for them Pompey players.
Yeah, I bet.
Absolutely for the next it must have been absolute hell. I heard a rumour that Westwood, that idiot, shakes all the bells and goes up there. They reckon they had to take his shoelaces out. He was going to do something drastic.
All right, so what sort of stopped the Saints career? What made you move to QPR?
Well, that was another problem with the manager. We had a manager in Chris Nick who had come in, and he was so different to Laurie in every way. He was boring. His team talks were like we called him Mogadon. It's a sleeping tablet. He was just terrible. He just wasn't like us. And I think the point for me when I knew it was going wrong, he sold Mark Wright and Peter Shilton to Derby, and he sold Andy Townsend to Norwich without a sell-on clause. Now, Andy Townsend, we all know his career after that, went to Chelsea, Aston Villa for millions and millions. And that just shows what a complete and utter wingnut he was. Really, Chris Nichol. And we finished off before I left. We had a fight in the dressing room, which he gave me a right hand. I gave him one back, and George Hills for all the players came in. We had a full-scale fight, but Alan Shearer recently said on the television, he said, I come back with my brothers. It was me and Mark Wright next day to finish it off, but he didn't want to, he wouldn't come out. So, but it was stupid.
That's pretty much the end of your Saints career then.
Well, it was, and even though Mr. Ted Bates come round and asked me to try and make it up with him, we could never make it up. But since then, and he's got MS now, and he has been struggling a lot. I think it's MS or dementia. And he's struggling, and I played a bit of golf with him, and we've made it up.
Yeah.
And it was nice for me. It was nice for me to do that, really, because he's not well at the moment, and life's too short to keep that running. I've got to say.
Yeah.
All right, and so from Saints to QPR, how did that come about? Apart from obviously you filling in the manager.
Well, no, not by that. Jim Smith wanted me before that. They wouldn't get me. He had just become QPR manager. And I played for him at Birmingham City, so he was in for me. As was John Hollins at Chelsea. I went and spoke to Chelsea, but I didn't like Ken Bates. No. He sat down, and you probably remember in them days, I had the long blonde mullet.
Yeah.
And I went in, sat down with Ken Bates, and I said, well, I'm not talking to John Hollins. Then he went, no, you deal with me. John Hollins was standing by the side. He said, first and foremost, before we talk about anything, if you come to this club, he said, you've got to cut your hair. So that irritated me straight away. So I said, if I come to the club, if I cut my hair, you've got to shave that poxy beard off. And then it complete, where after 10 minutes later, I was walking out, but I'd already signed for QPR. I just went down there to speak to him. I'd always signed for Jim Smith. And I had 3 great years till Jim went to Newcastle. 3 great years at QPR. We finished 5th. We couldn't get into Europe in that time. Finished, I think it's 5th, 7th and 11th. And we was on the plastic pitch, but it done nothing for me knees. Ruined me knees. Absolutely. And I think that's why I did a knee operation very soon after when I went to Palace.
What sort of players was you playing with at QPR?
Oh, we had some, like, I played with Paul Parker. Dave Seaman was our goalkeeper, Spunky. He was fantastic. You had Dave, Warwick, Big Alan McDonald, Northern Ireland centre half. He was a top player. Died, another one that died recently, God bless him. Terry Fenwick, England international. We had Wayne Faraday, quick lad. Johnny Byrne, which was up front, great player up front. Also, we had I'm trying to think what we had up front now. I think I'm getting dementia myself there.
So that was obviously before Dave Seaman went to Arsenal.
Yes.
Could you see that he was on to big things?
Oh, he was unbelievable. He used to come out and catch one-handed. He was...
Catch it with his mustache.
Did he still have the ponytail?
No, he didn't have the ponytail then. He didn't have the
Short
ponytail.
hair, wasn't it?
Dave was a bit of a boring man as well. He was a keen fisherman. All he liked but a fantastic golfer.
Yeah.
He hit the ball further than I went from the holidays. Honestly, he smashed it hard. He played. He was scratched, David. Amazing. On the par with Matt Letizia. Another superb golfer. Plays off a 4, but a bandit.
Yeah, we didn't actually. We didn't mention Matt Letiz when you was at Saint. Did you play with Matt?
He made his debut with me, Matt. He made his debut with me against Manchester United, 1985. We got Ron Atkinson the sack. We beat them 4-1, and Matt got 2. That was at the Old Deal. Matt got 2 on his debut.
Could you tell then that he was...
Unbelievable. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, he could peel an orange with his right foot.
Really?
I mean...
Is it Iniesta that says that he idolised Matt Letiz? Xavi. Was he that good then?
Xavi was the one who... Xavi's always said that he idolised Letiz, didn't he, as a kid? Like, watched all his videos, his goals and stuff like that. Xavi loved him.
Oh, he was amazing. And I'll tell you what, when you see the goals he scored, and when you think now our ex-manager, Ian Branford, could not play him, dropped him from the side. I mean, the man he's lost the plot. I mean, just lost the plot.
What was his reasoning for that?
He said he didn't work hard enough.
Didn't need to though, did he?
You don't
stand still.
That's what you get people around him for. You build your side round him, and Alan Ball done that perfectly well. God bless Bally. He done that perfect, built him round him, and I'll tell you what, everyone. Soon as the great story I had, Steve Williams, one of the best midfield players I ever played with in the game, and he once said to me, "Deno, give me the fucking ball. When you're at the fullback, give me the ball, because if you knock out." He said, because I'm better than you with the ball. And he was fantastic. Yeah. So as I give it him into feet, go on Steve, do the business. Yeah. Thread the ball. And I'll tell you what, great player. Absolute great player. And you've got to know the balls to play, the players to play the ball to. And if I was playing with Matt today, every time I'd got the ball, I'd be giving it to him. Matt, here.
Did he work hard in training or?
No. Never
just had it, didn't he? Obviously,
he liked his Malibu and Coke and plenty of chips. He was like the Shane Warne of cricket.
The thing is, you see Messi now. I mean, he did used to run around a lot when he was younger, but nowadays I think they pretty much say to him, "Don't move. Just find a space. As soon as we get the ball, we're going to give it to you."
Absolutely.
And that's what you want to do with like you say, your Mavericks and that. And
absolutely.
What's the point in making them chase run around? You may as well make them have all the energy for when they get the ball and just create something special like they always did, like Matt did. Create stuff out of nothing from.
It's a shame that, it's great that he's a Saints legend, but it'd been brilliant to see what he really could have achieved. Did you hear of any sort of big clubs coming?
Tottenham wanted to sign him. Chelsea, but there was quite a few of them, and Blackburn when Shearer was there. But with Matt, and I loved him for his loyalty, but you think he might have liked the big fish in the small pond instead of the small fish in the big pond.
I've seen him say that on Twitter. Someone said, you wasted your career, you didn't go here, you didn't go there, and he said, well, I'm considered an absolute legend in Southampton, so is that really wasting a career? And I think he prides himself on that, and why not? I do think that sometimes. I think some players move for the sake of it or for the money and then just become nothing.
Yeah.
You may as well just stay where you
It
are.
happened to Steve Williams really at Arsenal. He moved to Arsenal, which was his boyhood club
yeah.
and everything, and he done well, won the cup within the season. But I don't think he was ever the Steve we knew.
No.
Do you know? But it broke. Getting back to Saints, it broke my heart to go from Saints, the supporters.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was so difficult.
Because you are a bit of a legend amongst the Saints fan, that's for sure.
Well, I was injured, and they come back. QPR we played, and I was injured in the game back, and it was unbelievable. They had banners, and then I'd call him for my name and things like that. Chris Nichol must have gone through hell, and I always remember Kevin Brock scored. We won 1-0 on that game at the Deal, and Brocky put in the paper next day that was for Deno, which I thought was
class.
Was nice.
Yeah.
But the fans were fantastic. Honest, the Saints fans.
How old were you?
Still are to this day.
How old were you when you went to QPR then?
I was 28 when I went to QPR, about 20. That might have been a bit 29.
28,
Yeah.
29. So still in your sort of prime.
Yeah,
So
I had
was
3
it just
great
the
years.
injury of the knees?
I think playing on the pitch and then going to Crystal Palace. I went to Palace after that, but I did play 16 games. My knee went, which was a shame. I played a little bit with Ian Wright and Mark Bright. Wright was a good player.
What was it? So it was a plastic pitch at the day.
I called him Brighty, talking about him. It's so funny now what they're all saying about Wright, but he does look like Opera Winfried, doesn't he? If you look at him, I think he's an absolute.
You're right. Oh yeah. No. What's it? Yeah. When they done that Meghan Markle interview recently, everyone was saying, "Oh,
That's right, you're doing
what's
it.
he right with a wig doing?"
Oh, no, but it was. But the great times, I'm going back, the great times, all my clubs, Birmingham, Southampton, QPR, Palace, I wasn't really in there, I didn't really spend long enough there, but I have to say Birmingham, always close to my heart, because I've that affinity, plus my mum was from Birmingham, Peaky Blinders, and but Southampton for me, there was just something about the place, the fans, there was just... I can't explain. There was just something unique when I was here to say I was. It was a privilege to play with them players and for a club.
We say this all the time.
As
like,
good.
It's so close to
as
being a fantastic club, and I think
Oh.
I think the owners. I don't know if back then it was like that, but I think the owners are ruining, because when they went up this season, when they were at the top, I was saying to Raw, like, I fancy them against most teams in Europe on their day.
Yeah,
obviously, apart from maybe the top 3, but
Absolutely.
I think it needs someone to go in there and actually want to push the club on, because like you say, I mean, they always have this where they fly up the table and they look fantastic, and I think because of the investment, they slowly come back down.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Well, we had another great story was we was after in the showers, we had the big baths, and they never changed to the little baths because of the AIDS thing. The AIDS were about in the 80s.
Yeah.
And was in it. And Andy Townsend, one of the funniest men I've ever had, he signed from Weymouth. We signed him for 25 grand. What a player. And what we used to do pre-season was, when you had a shower, go out the bath and you're showering yourself, we used to piss on each other's feet. And it's actually true, because all the acid in your feet hardens your feet up. Yeah, Georgie Lawrence, ex-Saints player, hell of a weapon, like a baby's arm holding an orange. Lovely bloke. And George used to stand there, and George had a trunk like you've never seen. A weapon, as I say, it was unbelievable. And Andy all stood next to him, and he used to put his foot, "Come on, George, on, mate." He used to say, because it did. And it's funny, you're on, everyone used to like piss on each other's feet, but it did harden them up, especially for pre-season. But Andy was a nightmare for me, because when I washed my hair in the bath, I'd go under, I'd be soaping it up, and I'd have to go under the water, and as I'd come up, his dick would be over me pissing on my head. He was a cesspit of a man. Honest, he was a cesspit. So every time I'd wash me, and he'd also get the washing it, as I'm washing it, I'd put more in there, so I'd never get it redone. Every time I wash me, I'd always have to have one eye open, because if not, I'd see his Jap's eye. It was
All right, so like you had a decent career, and it's pretty clear that you've you've had some crazy times, especially with the drinking culture. So obviously getting pissed on by Townsend sounds pretty cool.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So have you got any other sort of stories for us? Something that's real funny or something like that?
Well, there was a funny story about going back to Pompey. I was going down there, and they've never liked me in Pompey. I've tried to stay out that way, but I do go up to where the Spinnaker Tower is. I loved it when they painted it red and white. That was brilliant. And there was like 20,000 of them petitioned to get it back to blue and white. I don't know if you know that. Oh, it was unbelievable.
Why would they paint it red and white? It's just so stupid, isn't it?
But I was up there one day, and this fella with big toes came along. He went, how do I get to Fratton Park? And I said, well, there's only one way in. I said, go in, one way in and one way out. Just go straight on, mate. Just do a left and a right. I said, you'll come to Fratton Park. I said, there'd be two big queues. Don't go in the big one because that's for the fish and chip shop. he was gutted.
Right. All right. So what about one from your playing day?
Yeah, one Birmingham was when I was at Birmingham City. Jim Smith was the manager. And I'd had a disagreement with him in his office. Can't actually remember what about. It was obviously my fault because usually in them days it was always my fault. And Alan Kerbishley had come up to me because I used to live across the road in Widley Lane with Kerbs. And Kerbs said, "What's up with you? You're not. What's up? Oh, I've had a row with him. I said, I'm not having that. I'm not having all that thing." So next day I went in and he just got himself a beautiful yellow Jag. We were sponsored by Jaguar. Down the thing. So anyway, the paint we had, the paint where you mark out the football pitches. I got the white paint out the football.
Let's see where this is going.
I'm painting all his tyres before he's come out. So Kerbs, as he's come out, Kerbs said, "That's it." He said, "That's it. You're gonna go." He thought I was gonna get the sack, obviously from it like that. Anyway, the gaffer come out, Jim Smith. Thought it was highly hilarious. Started laughing his head off. I mean, but that was Jim was like. Jim was a bit nutty. You know, that was a real good one. They couldn't believe it. But when I did do some silly things, if someone upset me, and there was no filters.
No.
With like that, there was another one with at Southampton when Laurie signed me. I used to have an English Bull Terrier. And I was living across. I left it at home, and it ate the cat. Laurie would tell this story. It ate the cat. I had to pay vet bills of a few thousand, and we was in a hotel having pre-match lunch before playing West Ham United, and Laurie got a call from the police saying that I had not paid my paid the vet bills for the woman because it was her cat. And it was absolutely hilarious. Laurie was laughing. He's actually, it's in his book now. And he said, "Did you leave him there on his own, Mark?" He said, "Mark, did you leave him there on his own, the dog?" I said, "Yeah." He said, what did you leave it? A can of food or something for?" I said, "I left the tin opener there as well for him." he couldn't believe that, but that was that was incredible. That was brilliant. But the cat, poor cat, I think it cost me £2,000 in them days, which was a lot of money. It was a Siamese cat.
Oh dear. Craziness.
But going back, there was some great talking about my old mate Frank Worthington, because I wanted to get on to him because I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss him severely. We had some great nights together in Marbella, Andalusia Plaza, and we had some great nights, not only drinking, but when it comes to women, he was top of the tree. He could pull any woman he wanted to. I always remember taking up this woman, met a Swedish woman, we'd both take her up to our room, and her name was Birgitta. I always remember this because Frank kept saying to her, "Do you like your food?" She said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're a big eater." But Frank was so funny with little things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got her into the room. She was stunning, and unbelievable. What a session we had with her. What a session. I was at one end. And we didn't call it spit roasting in them days. It was something different, you know what I mean? But Frank was well hung like a donkey, and he was walking into her as one does, and I was at the other end. Well, the funniest thing about it was, once it was all finished, in the morning, we'd left the door open, and Lou Chatterley, our assistant manager, come into the room. Not first, walked into the room. There's me and Frank and Birgitta between the two of us, with her arse in the air. It's honest, it's unbelievable. Well, the gaffer wasn't amused by him seeing that, and he made us run round the beach. And have you ever run holding a ball round the beach? It's the hardest thing to do.
No, it sounds
when you're
horrendous.
because you have got hard at football, and we done about 2 miles round it, and we were absolutely shattered. Come back, and I actually think I don't know if he fined us. He might have fined me and not Frank that day, but to be perfectly honest, forget about the fines. It was worth every penny. Honestly, it was unbelievable. But he was great, Frank. We lived to the full. We lived to the full, and Frank was 72, and I have to say he lived 172 lives. You know what I mean? It's brilliant. And to be associated him, playing with him, not physically, but playing with him on the pitch and everything else was just an absolute pleasure. Can't think of nothing ever better.
I've seen his goal, the goal that they put up quite recently.
Oh, against
Flicked over
Ipswich.
the players.
And Mickey Mills is Ipswich defender. Mills
really?
he flicks it over him and Terry Butcher and Russell Osman's head.
Class
and volleys it past Paul Cooper.
Fucking class goal.
Oh, he was an absolute legend. And recently, I've just spoke to Peter Reid and Sam Allardyce, and we can't go to his funeral because it's only family related. But I'm going to meet up.
You're going to spit roast the bird in his honour.
Me, Alan Kirby-Sleeve, Peter Reid, Sam Allardyce are going to go up, meet his daughter and his partner, and have a weekend in Bolton to just celebrate his life, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which would be great.
So you've obviously got your fair share of stories. Has there been any pranks played in the change room or on the training ground that you can think of?
There was a prank played on me I can think of, and I can't believe he brought it up. And I was supposed to meet this bird. Can't remember, Maria, I think it was. And I met her down at Bedford Place, and I was taking her out. We were going to La Lupa's restaurant supposed to take her there. Anyway, she ditched me. I've gone there, and I didn't say nothing, but Mark Wright was there. I stupidly sent her right in. The bastards let me down, and it was assault as well. I was going to take her to Lupa's Nightmare, and hopefully after that, Glazer.
With bloke medal.
Anyway, it all went completely pear-shaped. I went in next day, I told Righty about it. There's a blow-up doll on my peg with Maria. I couldn't make it. All the lads are laughing, and I felt that big. Honestly, it was I'll tell you what, I was gutted, and everyone was saying, and I thought, I thought Righty I could trust him, but I couldn't. But that's what the lads like. Yeah. If you can't give it out, I'll tell you what, don't give it out.
Yeah.
It's Glazer.
I was
Still opening Glazer.
So obviously the boys have done you with that.
Yeah.
That didn't come to blows, did it, that time?
No, it didn't come to blows. I was just completely and utterly embarrassed.
Yeah.
Do you know, for the fact there's nothing worse than being stood up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think majority of people have probably been in that position before, down to obviously not being stood up or couldn't make it. But it's not a great thing when you've all ready and you've got your smellies on, you've got your Durexes in your back pocket. Do you know what I mean?
Ready for a good glaze.
All the essentials. Ready to make a glazed ham. So obviously we talked about a couple of training ground spats. Are there any other good ones that you've seen or been a part of?
I saw a fantastic one, I have to say, I shouldn't say fantastic, between Georgie Lawrence and Joe Jordan. Big Joe when he was there, and that kicked off, and the two of them had a disagreement on the pitch. I think it accused Joe of going over the top a little bit, George. And with that, they squared up, and Joe just used his feet, sprung off the air, and nutted George, split all his nose and head open. It was all the lads have gone in. There was claret everywhere. It was unbelievable, honestly. But for all I said about George, they made it up. It took them a few days, but they made it up and just forgot about it. And that was great about it. I think the quick thinking of Mickey Mills to jump in and get Joe by his neck saved everything. But that was incredible.
Just gave him a diving header at the back, straight on his nose.
But Joe was a hard man. They called him Jaws.
Yeah.
Joe was a hard man, but a nice man as well. Worked for Harry Redknapp for many years.
Yeah.
With Kevin Bond.
Well, back, you got any... Well, obviously you got your fair share of crazy stories. Who would you say is the craziest teammate that you've played with, other than yourself?
The craziest teammate I've played with... I would have to say Jimmy Case when he's out on the Grand Marnier. When Casey gets onto it, he's absolutely, and he's a drinker from the highest order. When it comes to drinking, I'll tell you what, he is international level.
Yeah.
He's top of the tree.
World
class, international.
World class drinker.
But when he's drunk, he's liable to do anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious.
What like?
But then. Well, anything you want, to be perfectly honest. If you're lucky enough to fall asleep, you might be crapped on from a great height. You never know.
From a great height. hanging off the ceiling fan, shit.
But no, Jimmy, he was a great drinker, liable to do it. The word I'm looking for, probably. When he's had a drink, very unstable. When he hasn't had a drink, the loveliest fella you'd ever met. It was Jekyll and Hyde person. Absolutely Jekyll and Hyde. Possibly a bit like myself.
Yeah.
So a bit.
Was it Butts was saying about Jimmy Case, was it?
I think it was.
Saying about, was it someone on a pitch, someone got nailed by someone and he was like, look, get up.
I'll do it. He said, that little black book here, get me. It sort him out.
Yeah, he said, get up, don't show you're out. And then next thing he put him in the stand.
There was another nutter called Gavin Maguire, played for QPR. You probably remember, wasn't a big name case in that. He was an absolute lunatic. He's a hairdresser now. But he said, he done, that Dammy Thomas broke his leg at Tottenham. Not so ago. Absolute lunatic he was.
Yeah.
But no, he had some great, in the days, I always remember Jimmy Case. He's slaughtered. They talk about Vinnie Jones being our man. Like Casey just slaughtered him.
Really?
Vinnie didn't know what hit him. It was men against boys. Absolutely men against boys. But I like Vinnie. He's a nice fella. He's good-hearted. He's going through a lot of heartache after losing his missus. And I'm proud of him. What he's done. He's the only footballer I know who can control a ball further than he can kick it. And I'm so proud of him to see what he's done.
Yeah.
As an actor and all that, unbelievable.
What about you got any funny stories about bad players signing? So just someone coming in randomly and everyone's like, how the fuck has he ended up here?
Kenny Armstrong signed from Kilmarnock, I thought it was. Laurie signed him, and hilarious. He came out to train for the first day, and Frank had walked out with me training. Mickey Shannon was there. And I think his assistant, Laurie's assistant at the time, was John Mortimer, and with Lou Chatterley. And John had signed him on this thing, on John's say-so, not Laurie's. And he'd come out, and Frank went out. And Frank used to go down our stairs there, and he'd be keeping the ball up on his feet like that, on the back of his neck, just walking out before he training, just mucking around with it, like glue. It was amazing, keeping it up. Anyway, Kenny Armstrong, this loose centre half, watching Frank, he's in awe of Frank and all that. Anyway, he's walked onto the pitch on the deal, got this ball, trying to keep it up, and he's chasing the ball. he's chasing the ball 3 times, and he's kept it. Then he's had this training session, he can trap it on all that, and Mickey Shannon, I'll tell you, there was the assistant to John Mortimer had a great trumpet on him, bigger than Matty's nose. It was an absolute beauty. And Mick Shannon looked over, and the gaffer's there shaking his head. Laurie looked at John Mortimer and he went, "John, noses will roll." Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. Do you know how you can imagine him keeping the ball up? I was crying. He's trying to kept it up once, chased it. Oh, fantastic.
So you've obviously gone through a long list of players that you've played with. Who would you say is the best player you've ever played with?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. Midfield players, Stevie Williams is right up there with Casey.
Yeah.
For me, Stevie Williams and Casey. Who
did you play?
Hard. It's very hard to single them out. They were different. Casey was more of a holding midfield player. Willow could split defences in two. Had a great view, great pass. His passing, his touch was exempt. Where Jimmy could look after players, he could scare players, but he could also play as well.
Yeah.
Which made a lot of difference. But yeah, best players. Frank Worthington in his prime was exceptional, absolutely exceptional. I played with a fellow named Colin Todd at centre back at Birmingham City. Absolutely magnificent. Absolutely magnificent player. Good Paul Parker was another good player. The best keeper I played with is Shilton, followed by Dave Seaman, but there wasn't much in him. There was very, very little in him. The best player I've ever played against, and I was so delighted, was George Best. He played for Fulham at the time, past his best, but still magnificent, still scored a great goal.
Did you manage to tackle him at any point?
He played like back midfield then. We won 3-2. Don Givens got a hat-trick for us, and he got a fantastic free kick. But as it come out, he shook my hand and put his arm around me, and I felt like I went down to jelly. It was just unbelievable. It was just unbelievable. The man was a genius, and unfortunately he got a disease, alcoholic, because it is a disease, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame he had to finish as quickly as he did. Yeah.
What about worst player? Any worst players in your mind?
Oh, I've had a few. There's been some bad players. There's been some bad. Terry Lees and Tony Evans. Terry Lees and Tony Evans at Birmingham. They were absolutely dreadful. They were dreadful. Stevie Baker, lovely lad, love him to death. Used to call him Toblerone feet, right back for Southampton. The ball used to go. You didn't know where it was going to go. It could go anyway. Toblerone. He was absolutely. There was another goalkeeper. I wasn't there, but he was dreadful. Was Ivan Katalinic.
Sounds like a bad player.
I used to call him Dracula because he was scared of crosses.
Sounds like me. Sounds a bit like me. That does. All these players, do they have any relatives at the club, or or they were rich and just paid their way? Did you ever have any sort of pre-match rituals at all that you used to go through before a game and make yourself feel ready, or
blazing someone?
Yeah.
Other than getting your feet pissed on.
I'll tell you what, I used to put my shorts on last.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always had a skip like a jock strap, but I used to put my shorts on last.
That's one of the best looks, isn't it? When someone's got the shirt on and they've got the socks on with no pants or something. It's a great look.
Yeah.
That was you, was it?
It used to. One day, that was a fucking hell. That was a funny one. One day, I walked out, forgot to put them on. George Osborne, put your shorts on. Can you imagine if I'd gone out onto a pitch with that?
Imagine Bob Higgins saw you.
Sex case, hang him. Jesus, Bob would have loved that. He'd have loved it, Bob, wouldn't he? He'd have squirted everywhere.
Oh, fucking hell. What about any other players that you notice who had some weird ones or some funny ones?
And Colin Todd at Birmingham used to get in a hot bath. I don't know why, hot bath and sit in a hot bath. I couldn't work that one out.
I'd heard someone else done that as well. Was it Gaza or something like that? You should do that.
You said hot bath.
Gaza just probably done
The
it.
the only thing I can take that from years ago when I was a teenager, I caught crabs. And my friend said to me, sit in a hot bath.
What, you went to the seaside and caught crabs?
No, caught them like lice around the bollocks. And he said to me, how'd you get on? I said, how'd you get rid of them? He said, full of scalding hot bath, scalding water, and put sugar in there. I was like, I said, what does it do to them? He said, does nothing for the crabs that rots their teeth. That was dreadful.
Oh, where have we got to? I don't know what's going on anymore.
It's gone.
Yeah, anyway. just exactly where I thought it would be. What about back in the day? You lot used to fine each other, did you? You'd have like a fines committee fining for late and this, that, and the other. Did you have that stuff?
We had that at Birmingham, bits and pieces. It didn't last too long though.
No.
We never had that at Southampton. I mean, I have to say, on QPR, what we done is 1 year, and Laurie was there, all the fines, if players got fined, and I used to put a lot in there for Laurie had fined me, we put them into our Christmas party.
Yeah.
And our Christmas party was, it was funny. I was member at one of the Christmas parties, Chris Nichols, and Chris Nichols was always on about cover as a centre half, but cover. All the time, and he was very defensive. And when he was manager, he was always saying cover. Didn't like you to really go, like me to stay over the halfway line, and that didn't treat me right. And I went in one Christmas party, and he turned up, and I took this blanket in. I threw the blanket over him. He went mad. I said, "You've got as much fucking cover as you want now." He went fucking mad. I think I got fined for that.
Did you ever do? It's probably more of a new age thing. Cheers for the Apple Watch getting involved, like always. Probably a new age thing, but did you ever do something called item of the week, where the players would say you got to bring some kind of item into the change room for a game, otherwise you get fined if you didn't bring it? Did you ever do anything like that? That was something more for us.
Yeah, I think that was like our era.
Do you remember when we done the which one have we talked about? Have we talked about
we've done about the bugs, haven't we?
We've done the bugs one.
No, we've done
the street signs.
We used to have a great. I don't know if you know Ron Arthur, the old. He's the kit man now. He used to be our drover, coach driver. And on the way back from games, he was fantastic because I don't know if you remember the video Betamax. Do you remember Betamax? What you put your videos in? Yeah. Betamax, it was going back in the... And on the coach, on the way back, he used to put a nice Debbie Does Dallas, nice blue movie in for us. Fucking close all the windows on the team bus and watch the old video. And there was fucking tugging going on left, right and centre.
No wonder all the women think men are seedy these days.
The worst thing, the smell of salt round there wasn't very good.
I don't know where we get this bad reputation from, do you? I don't know where it comes from.
Jesus Christ. You tell all the players, I looked at Andy and his eyes had been rolling. I said, "You all right, Andy?" He said, "Dad, I'm on the vinegar stroke."
No clue what's going on. So we'll move on to top four. It's a little thing that we do with every guest that we have on every episode. So yeah, top four. Number one would be, what's your favourite boots?
Adidas, without a doubt. Copy Mondial, I loved. Wore Adidas. Even when we were sponsored by Patrick, which was for a bit. I was sponsored by Patrick, but I used to take the three stripes off and paint the two at the back. But always wore Adidas all my life.
I don't blame you not wearing Patrick though.
I know.
That's terrible make.
Patrick. Is that even a make anymore?
Don't know. I think that died out early.
Kevin Keegan brought it out.
Did he?
Yeah.
It's not quite as good as my Sondicos though, was it? No, I remember them back in the day. I used to wear these Sondicos.
Or Dasco sharpshooters.
What? They were good. Never heard of them either. I had a pair of Sondicos back in the day, didn't I? Yeah. And I went and bought them for they were about a tenner, I think, in Sports Direct. And within about 1 week, they're falling apart. The bottom sole was falling off. There was literally absolute shambles. And then I just didn't give a fuck back then. I was like, I didn't care what I looked like. I just started, you get the tape you put around your socks.
Yeah.
I should just start putting that on the boot. Then I was tying the boot together every week.
One of the Wessex Premier Sondercoats.
Literally, yeah. Was it that year? I think the Wessex Premier, and I'm wearing Sondercoat boots, so I've got to put electrical tape around to keep them together and that.
Unbelievable.
Absolute bothered in that. Oh, yeah. What about your favourite ever ground that for whatever reason?
I loved Villa Park. Villa Park was always a great ground to play.
Like the atmosphere there.
The atmosphere was there, but also I have to say, Theatre of Dreams, even Man United was always a lovely ground.
Yeah. Old Trafford. You ever played there, Con?
Theatre of Dreams.
Yeah. Twice.
In the theatre of your dreams.
Yeah.
And then the last one, what is your favourite ever goal that you've scored?
I got a nice 25-yarder at Carrow Road, top corner, but I'd have to go for the one against Newcastle, 1985-86, when I went back from left, come in, beat 2 players and chipped the keeper, chipped Martin Hodge.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Not bad for a left back.
No, that was a good one, that.
I was waiting for you to
and
say
the
it
lads
first.
slaughtered me. They said it was meant to be a cross. Unbelievable, isn't it? You score a goal like that and they said it was meant to be a cross. Broke me out.
When I asked that question, I was waiting for you to tell me about Bird. Any older goals?
She was beautiful.
Oh, yeah, she was great. From 25 yards, I went straight through her. All right, so that's episode 4 wrapped up. Deno, you've come through with all kinds of madness, which we expected, and some great stories in there. I don't know how much I'll be able to put in the actual episode, but we'll get to editing that, and it'll probably whittle down to about 5 minutes.
I've got to say, lads, it's been emotional.
Yeah. It's been enjoyable. My head's actually fucking aching from laughing so much now. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Deno.
My pleasure.
Great episode. And before we finish, we just want to talk about obviously every guest. Yeah, the glazier. We'll try and get serious for a second if we can. Every episode, we obviously ask the guests to choose a charity, and we get people to donate. We put a donate link up. If you want to talk about the charity that you've selected and what it means to you, basically.
My charity is the Macmillan charity. It's very close to my heart because I lost my father through pancreatic cancer, which is possibly one of the worst ever. Patrick Swayze died of it as well, God bless him. And then nurses do an absolute unbelievable job, as do the NHS and all the other nurses, and it's about time they got a good pay rise.
Yeah.
All right, nice one. Thanks, Deno. I'm glad we had you on, and all of our listeners have now disappeared. So this is a great time to let everyone know to follow us on Instagram. It's just at Up the Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, Up the Podcast with a 1 at the end. We just started to create a YouTube channel, which is just Up the Podcast. And we're going to start putting all of the podcasts on there in time for when we release our season finale, which is with Matt Letizia. It's our first ever video podcast that we've done. We chose to go down Hamble FC ground and filmed a chat with Matt Letiz, and then we've done a penalty shootout between him and All Right Fans afterwards, which was against Ideal GK in goal. So yeah, got all that to look forward to. And also be on the lookout for, we got a massive surprise coming in between seasons. We're gonna do a video of something really, really interesting that everyone wants to be a part of. Everyone's been getting involved in it with us. We're going to be promoting that on the Instagram and on the YouTube. So make sure you follow us on those, and you'll be able to see what we've got in store for you in between seasons. And then towards the end of the year, or sort of after the summer, we'll be moving on to season 2, where we've already confirmed some great guests. So yeah, until then, we go again. Out the podcast.
Out the podcast.
Class. Brilliant.